What you are about to see is the worst 8-second solve of all time. Alright guys, now let's count the cube rotations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait a minute, F2L only has 4 steps. But we end with a perfect J-perm and a smile of relief on my face. Oh my goodness, that was 8.42? Are you serious? That was the solve that got me my best ever average in competition, 8.59 seconds. Okay, not like my previous best 8.68 was that good anyway. It was a 7.799. Let's not talk about it. That was from a time when I was actually good at 3x3. I haven't practiced a lot lately. You can tell from my competition results. I am shocked these averages are even sub 10. Okay, there's actually more context to this solve and this average though. So look at the first 3 solves. I was so surprised I could get 3 8s in a row, and I just needed 1 more out of the next 2 solves in order to get my best average of 5 in competition. So I remember standing around waiting for my next solve and thinking about how clutch Timon was for getting his 4th solve to be really good in that average. I was thinking, hey, Timon can do it, I can do it too. So my next solve ends up being a 9.80. The F2L was okay, but then I get to last layer and I see it's a ZBLL case that I know. So I don't know a lot of ZBLLs, but when I got to this point, I thought this was my Timon moment. I'm gonna clutch this. This was the case that I got. We have 2 corners and 2 corners matching, and then the block right here. But the algorithm I use for this is, I don't think it's that good. It has like R and L moves, and I messed up so bad on it, which made this ZBLL take over 3 seconds, which is not even better than when I do OLL and PLL. So if I had just done something simpler for the solve, it would have gone better. Also, I could have just not messed up, but whatever. I had 1 more chance to finish strong on this average, and I feel like this is the point where you start to remember times from your past, and I was starting to remember Welcome to 2019, where I absolutely failed a sub 9 average because, well, it was like 5 a.m. at the time. That was a really weird competition, but I know I failed averages in the past. It's really hard to be clutch. And then the cross was really bad. Inspection time was running out. I was like, there's no way this is going to be a good solve. But the J-perm is what probably saved it. I'm so good at that PLL. It is such a good PLL. Let's see the solve. I reconstructed and I did blue cross, but blue cross is not that great. I started with U to align yellow with the center and then get orange in with it. This is actually where I messed up because U is not the best first move, but I'll show you what I mean later. So I did this and put orange in with it, and then I do D and put in the white cross piece. Now you might be wondering why I'm not talking about first pair. It's because I didn't plan it. I just looked ahead to it and it wasn't this one. I guess I didn't see this one early enough. It was this one. And instead of solving it rotationless like this, which pairs them up, I did 2 rotations. So I did this rotation, paired them up, and then did this and inserted them. This is like really, really old habits. I had a chance to make it all better, either by doing this pair or just by doing this one next without a rotation like that. But I did these 2 with the rotation and then another rotation. I cannot believe I did that. At least I noticed this pair splitting up, so I immediately put them together and immediately put these 2 together. And this rotation, this is actually a good one. This is how you should solve this case. And then I had an easy OLL. Well, not that easy. And then a J-perm. I never mess these up. So here is the mistake that I made on move 1. Instead of doing U, I should do D. It does exactly the same concept. It sets up yellow, orange, and white exactly in the same spots compared to the blue cross, except the difference is D makes a pair. So let's say I do the exact same cross solution. Well, actually, if I knew there was a pair here, I would have changed it up at the end. I would have done D prime and then insert this one into the back, cancel into putting this pair in, and then this pair is not bad. And then what do we have? We have this and we have this. So I could do these 2 and then these 2. So that actually would have been a rotationless solve instead of whatever I did, but not as good on the OLL PLL. I got a V-perm. I remember spending almost 15 seconds just deciding, fine, I'll go for blue cross, even though I don't like it. I want to say that, like, okay, yellow cross would have been good. I guess I could have done it like this. What? That's an X cross. Wait, so that was just the most obvious yellow cross solution I could come up with. and it made an X cross for no reason. Okay, so this, not a good pair, but it's what I would have done next. I could set these up now, but I would not have noticed that. I was panicking, and then I would have done these two, and then this one and this one. Oh wow, the corners are done. Okay, this would have been so nice. Then I would have done it like this, so I don't have to regrip. That could have been the best solve. Was there an easy cross though? Because I remember not being able to find anything good. So I should have checked red, blue, yellow, and orange. I don't think I looked at... No, 1, 2, 3, 4 move cross on orange. How does this even happen? Like, why did I miss all of this stuff? So if I had done orange cross, I would have done this pair next, and then I would have seen this and this, which I saw in inspection. Just good thing to look for other things in inspection when the cross is so easy. Okay, and then I would have done these two. And Jesus, jeez, what? This is, are you serious? J-Perm is better than Dylan, confirmed. Anyway, in the next round, I just completely revert back to normal. I can't get 8s anymore. This was a really weird competition. So why is this such a big deal? Well, last weekend I went to a competition called Richmond Open Summer B 2022, organized by my friend Kenny Zong, who is faster than me at 3x3, but not by single. I am outside the top 100 now. People are getting so fast, and I miss when I was 69th in the world. I am ranked 69th in the world for fastest 3x3 solve with a time of 5.31 seconds. Good times. Now, this set of events made me a little worried because there's this thing that cubers who go to competitions care about, which is called the PR streak. It is how many competitions you can go to in a row where you always set at least one thing that is better than anything you've ever done in the past. So going into this competition, I was worried about losing my PR streak. I don't know how long my streak is. I just know it's been going for a while and I don't want to lose it. And so I end up breaking one of my longest standing records, which is an average, which is weird because like I don't average anything near that right now. So I was expecting to break a single or something, obviously not for a 3x3. And then in one-handed, I got a 10.88, and it surprised me so much by the end of the solve that I actually messed up, and this could have been a sub 10. Like, this could have been an overall PB solve. That is how good of a scramble it was. I don't have it recorded. I just remember that it was like X cross into a bunch of free pairs, and then the last layer was like soon into U-perm, which, good thing I didn't do that in the official solve. Let's see the solve. I did blue cross because there are 2 cross pieces already done, and these 2 can be inserted in just 3 moves. Now, if you just insert them, then you get this edge, which can go in here with keyhole, and there's also this free pair. So I actually saw this first and decided to solve it, but then realized the free pair is better. So then I went right into the free pair, and I could have done an X cross, but didn't end up going for it. Then I have this, so move this out of the way, insert this one, and go back. Then I have this free pair again, and then I also have this one. And if you insert the free pair first, you actually turn this one into a free pair, which I didn't see because I went for these 2 because it was easy look ahead and rotation list. And it turns this into a free pair, so whatever. And I now insert this into the back. So a lot of free pairs there. Then here, I didn't cancel into OLL, I didn't notice, but here you can do like a back anti-soon, which gives you a Z-perm, but I instead decided to do this and notice this block, which means it's going to be a U-perm. So I did soon from here instead, and then did this U-perm. So that was a really lucky solve. Not only was it a very low move count, but it also had such an easy cross and also only R and U moves for the last layer. But the absolute highlight of this competition was Team Blind. And if you've never heard of Team Blindfolded, well, take a look at this. R prime, F, R prime, U2, R. U prime, spin left, U prime, spin right, left join, U prime, spin left, right join, U2, spin twice, left worst case, spin right, left pair, U prime, left pair, U2, right pair, U, right join, U,
U prime,
right fat anti-soon.
U prime?
Yeah, U2.
U.
U.
R?
No,
U2?
A prime L2. U. Done.
U.
That was still pretty good, even though.
I was a little rusty on calling, but If you have a cuber friend, I want you to actually try this because this is one of the most fun cubing partner things you can do. Part of what makes Team Blind so fun is coming up with strategy and words for all the cases you're going to use. So for example, if you just have a pair here that needs to insert, we would call this pair. And then if you had a split case that's also the 3-move case, then we call this one join. And we'd specify if it's to the front right or the front left slot, back right, back left. And then you can also say moves, obviously, like R and U, and then you can say like spin right. You can also come up with names for OLLs, PLLs, F2L cases. It's just a matter of how much time you want to invest because you can get really, really good at this, but we only had a few days to practice, so we kept it really simple. So with the 34-second solve, we came second place and we won these little keychain 3x3s. And so what Kevin and I decided to do was have a little race. Gotta get my cube out, do some first turns, see if I still remember how to nod done.
Okay. I'm just gonna close my eyes.
I think I got it. No, I got it! It's a twisted corner. Oh great, now I can't remember after you slammed it. He may have beaten me in blindfolded, but then we did regular 3x3. This time though, we kept the keychain in. This cube isn't too bad.
Okay, you have the advantage because you can take a cross color that means the chain is solved sooner.
The winners of Team Blind were Samir and Luke with a sub 30 solve, very impressive, and no surprise that they would be very good at Team Blind, and turns out they practiced a lot more than we did. I guess they deserve to win. Risk it all in this one, hopefully. Guess the PLL again.
We're not I'm gonna guess PLL skip then.
Ready. Okay, it's solved. Just stop the timer. Go, 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 go. Yeah.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, I think we win. Also, someone 3D printed a cube and wanted me to try it, so here's my solve attempt. I got an F firm, this is so sad.
Oh no.
Am I getting sub 1? Yeah.
Maybe. Oh wait, we can all rate his solve afterward. Oh my god.
You know what? All these crazy challenges I've done for this channel have actually helped me in getting better at wrist turns. So in the last 2 weeks, I actually had 2 competitions, and the one before this was called Please Be Solved. Why is it called Please Be Solved? Well, these are just all the events where you don't know if it's solved until you're done. So there were a lot of DNFs. In 3x3 blindfolded, I was actually doing pretty well. I've noticed that for some parts of memorization, I do much better in competition because it feels more important to memorize certain things. It's really weird, but in some parts I'm worse, some parts I'm better. So I usually end up doing pretty well. For my very first solve of the competition, I actually forgot my last 2 pieces to solve. So I got to that point and thought about it for a second. Exactly what was going through my head was, okay, I think I forgot the last letter pair. If I think to remember it, then I will probably get a bad time. But there's a small chance the reason I forgot is because there actually was no more stuff to solve, so I'll just end it right here. And of course, there was still a letter pair. That was a very nervous start to the competition, but I ended up getting a 30 and a 35. Everything was fine. What I really wanted this competition for 3x3 blindfolded was an average, because my best average right now is... what is that? I average like 30 seconds now. I have to improve that, but it's so hard to get 3 successful solves in a row when you're trying to go as fast as you can. So in the next round, I start off by getting a 26, except it's a DNF because, okay, I remembered everything perfectly. So one of the letter pairs I got for edges was A, U, and in my practice for the last months, somehow I never got this letter pair. So when I got to it, I was like, wait, does it go like this? Or is it the reverse of that? And I couldn't remember, so I just did one of them and it was wrong. So that's kind of my lack of practice showing you should be running into all your letter pairs at some point during practice. I just hadn't practiced enough. And I could have thought a little bit more before doing the algorithm. You can see a slight pause, but I just decided to pick one way or the other at some point because I knew this could have been a really good solve, and it almost was. It was a 26. My best in competition is 25, so I'm not too sad about not getting this one. But it does mean I get a DNF and I succeed in the next 2 solves, which means no average for me still. I'm gonna have to try again at my next competition. And luckily, 33 seconds was a good enough solve to win this competition for 3x3 blindfolded. Now, for 4x4 blindfolded, I ended up winning because Kevin is better than me, but Kevin DNF'd 3 times. So I am better than Kevin. Confirmed. So this was an 8 minutes and 1 second solve, which is my second fastest solve ever. And that might sound a little crazy, but I don't really practice this event. And the thing with blindfolded is if you actually succeed on the solve, chances are you got a good time, because the easier solves are the ones that you're more likely to succeed on. I kind of can't believe I won this competition or even got a success at all, because look at the practice I did before this competition for 4 blind. So yeah, I pretty much just practiced until I got 1 successful solve to prove I could actually do it, and then I went to the competition. I did the same sort of practice for 5x5 blindfolded, and look at that, all 3 DNFs. I've covered so many events and puzzles in this video. If you're wondering how to get faster at any of these, chances are I have a video about just that. Thanks for watching, and go to a competition. You spend most of the day not competing, just chilling at a table with a bunch of other keepers. They're fun, it's not that serious.